there are points in an animal's life, because animals, I know you'll disagree, animals are very different to humans. We are both animals, no doubt, or we are all animals, no doubt, but we are the superior animal. And you take it at a point where it lives for, I don't know how long a deer lives for, let's say 12 years. You take its life and it's 11 years old. In the next year, it's going to get to the point where it withers away to nothingness, can't feed itself, and dies by getting ants, or an ant eating it from the asshole first. What is the more humane and the more vegan thing to do in that situation?
The vegan thing to do is respect its rights to life, or its right to life, and let it live. Most people die pretty horrible deaths. Like, heart disease is a pretty horrible way to die. Cancer is a pretty horrible way to die. Those are the two leading causes of death. Is it okay for me to go into an old folks home and just shoot up the place?
I mean, I wouldn't put it past you, but I think that there's other ways to look at it rather than comparing animals to humans every single time, because they're just not the same.
Well, I don't see, we certainly aren't the same, but I don't see a morally substantive difference that would justify that sort of difference in treatment.
I think the argument is they're just not the same.
Okay, well,
it's why we don't have sex. It's why we don't have sex with animals. It's why you mate with.
Okay, well, we're not the same. We have different level of intelligence. You have a bigger beard. We're different age. I'm black. You're white. Like, okay.
Yeah, but we all walk around.
None of these things. None of these things. Yeah, none of these things are morally substantive differences that would justify a difference in treatment between me and you. So, can you identify?
Yeah, but we're the same species.
Yeah, well, that's great, but can you identify a morally substantive difference between a human and an animal where it would be justifiable to violate an animal's rights, but it wouldn't be justifiable to violate a human's rights?
Because we have a hierarchy.
We're talking about the hierarchy of the scientific.
It's the same thing.
About before. There's a hierarchy.
What do you mean by hierarchy?
There's a hierarchy there's a hierarchy of humans here, animals below that. And we kill animals, we eat animals. That is the end of the argument.
What do you mean by hierarchy? Like, can you explain?
It's the same reason why you favor some scientific articles, like you were saying before. You favor some more than others because there's a hierarchy, mate. Some things come before others. Some are more dominant than others. Some are more important. Some are more important than others.
Well,
and the way that things have panned out in humanity is that we're on top.
You're still not really explaining yourself. Like, do you mean because we're smarter or better in some way?
But you know what?
We can change our environment.
I tend to agree that it's not a good argument that we're better.
I think it's a fine argument.
Even though we are, I tend to agree it's not a great argument because you could say, well, what should we put people who are disabled? Should we, get rid of them because they're not as good?
Yeah, that's kind of the route I was going to go down. So
yeah, I fucking know what you're up to, you little shit. There is a difference between animals and human beings.
Right, but I'm asking you to point out a morally substantive difference. So,
okay,
you're even agreeing with me that, like, a mentally disabled human being, it wouldn't be justifiable to violate their rights, even if they're...
Because they're a human being.
Are you saying just because they're not human, it is therefore okay to kill them?
No.
I only eat autistic cows. That's...
What?
I only eat
okay,
autistic cows.
Do you actually believe that? Like, if you're not human, therefore it's okay to kill you?
No, but that's what we eat, isn't it?
Mm.
So that's not the reason why it's okay to kill animals.
What do you mean?
They're a food source.
Okay, well, humans are a food source. Like, if you've ever seen footage of civil wars in Liberia, guess what? Humans are a great food source. They taste like pig.
How do you know?
Yeah, how do you know?
I have heard from enough people.
How do you know pig tastes like?
Pig or human? Which one?
Yeah, we know what you're up to, you little bastard.
Like, again, I'm asking you, what is the morally substantive difference between a human and an animal, where it's okay to violate an animal's rights, but it's not okay to violate a human's rights? And you've given me a few answers, but you keep walking back your claims.
Sorry, I'm just eating a steak. It's good. Medium rare, who cooked this?
I don't have an answer because I don't fully understand the question. I thought my answer was...
So what clarifies as a morally substantial, whatever the rest of that was?
Yeah, so if we're talking about taking away rights from an individual, I think there has to be some sort of justification to do it.
And cows are some of the dumbest creatures that I've ever met. And it's almost like they are a walking butchery. like just waiting to be taken.
So
Like, they're
it's
just-
intelligence. So if you met somebody
So it's the
who was
intelligence.
okay,
But you can, once again, you're comparing them to humans. Animals are not human beings.
I recognize that, and black people aren't white people. Like I'm asking for a morally substantive difference.
Well, I don't see color personally, but the
So
I
you're
almost
saying-
made him smile.
Okay, so
Sorry.
you're saying the trait is intelligence now. So if you were to come
not
across a
saying that.
mentally
The trait
disabled
is-
person who was as intelligent as a cow, it would be fine to kill them?
I'd eat their butthole. But the question, the real thing here is, you keep going back to the difference of humans and animals. Is there a difference?
Yeah, there certainly is. I'm just
Okay,
saying
well, there you
there's
go.
not a
That is
morally
the difference.
substantive difference.
But would I ever be able to come up with a morally substantive difference?
If you
to
were
make it happen?
if you were
Well,
to play devil's advocate,
look-
if you were to play devil's advocate, could you, because you're obviously highly intelligent and way smarter than we are.
Yeah.
Is it tiring putting so much thought into all this stuff? Because
Everything
these are
putting
things
it out.
that I've never ever
Because
ever,
like
No,
I think this is
but,
why we struggle. I just couldn't.
I would have never given two thoughts to
No,
any of
not
this
even
without us
once.
having this conversation.
Not even once. I think we are so behind. If you're a cow and you can't defend yourself, fuck you.
No, but I reckon you're the only bloke that would have ever thought of that comparison.
Does come across like so childish that it is hilarious to look at. Like people look at you when you say that and just go, "Are you the full fucking quid?"
I'd eat their butthole.